Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Waji Khalsa, Waji Fateh Ji. Welcome to another session of Khoj Gurbani. I stand corrected. I had announced last week that we were done with this theme, but I was corrected. I stand corrected. We have Virji Charan Singh Ji to round off this dialogue on Naam. Virji, it's all yours.
Thanks, Ji. Vai Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Fateh Ji. Let me just bring the presentation up and I'm not sure if you guys got a chance to see the video clip I had sent, and if you have any questions regarding that.
Did anyone get a chance? I didn't. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm assuming that apparently we can start with this new one. So,
it's a safe assumption that nobody
Ji,
did.
ji, ji. Um, this is something which I have prepared today regarding my understanding about what is Naam. So, just to give you I hope this visual is clear to all of you. I'm sharing my screen. On my left side is the legend which says measurement. I have just twisted this word measurement, like something measurable, to measurement, because when we can measure, we become a little bit more sure on what we are trying to accomplish or what we are trying to understand. And then I have a physical. There's another tag for mirage. Mirage, I'm taking the understanding, which is something just as a common understanding, something which is hallucination kind, like it gives a false effect. And then the life experience. These are the 3-4 codes which I have tried to use. On the left side, if you see, I have tried to plot the source of or any kind of knowledge and the communicator of that knowledge as a teacher, and this source is a relationship with the seeker. So I would like to know from you all, what do you think is the relationship between a source and a seeker, a teacher and a learner? My understanding is that this relationship is reciprocal. Why I'm trying to get on this relationship, because for me it is very critical, and as we will progress through this presentation, I will keep on reiterating this particular word which I'm sharing. So I would like to know, what do you think is the relationship between the source and the seeker, or a teacher and a learner? It's a one word. My understanding is it's reciprocal. If you could please let me a little bit know.
Anji, Chetandeep, in one word, what do you think the relationship is? One word.
I'm still thinking about it.
Okay,
it's okay. You can type it, or you can let later know those.
Okay, you can type it and send it to Charanveerji.
Sure.
Anji Veerji, back to you.
ਹੋਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ chime in karna ji, just to.
I think it is a faith or confidence in the teacher.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just noting also. So it's the faith between the teacher and the learner, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Anji Veerji, मैं भी ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ input ਦੇ ਦਿਆਂ. I think it's a symbiotic relationship. There is no teacher and there is no learner.
And you call it symbiotic, Virji?
Hanji.
Symbiotic.
And there is no teacher and no learner.
Yeah, there's no teacher and no learner. Absolutely amazing. ठीक है जी. Gurmeet Virji?
Can I put it in directly proportional?
Okay. Good, Virji. Gurjeet Virji. Directly proportional.
Hanji.
Okay. Dilpreet Virji?
I think sometimes teacher is a learner and sometimes learner is a teacher. So I don't know what word to use. I think it goes both ways.
It's called symbiotic.
Symbiotic, okay.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
that is.
So I think it's very interesting, Virji. I think all of us have agreed on at least one thing, that the relationship between the teacher. Am I sharing the screen? I think. Just one moment. Okay. Yeah. So Virji, it's really I think मैं ये वाला word पहले नहीं सी सुना होया, symbiotic, and I think the way you have explained it, कि teacher and learner, they are. That's how I was calling them from the first.
Symbiotic comes from it's a biological term, and it simply denotes an interaction between two organisms, very close association, a physical association.
Right.
And it's a mutually beneficial relationship.
ठीक है जी. But how does the functional role changes between the two physical entities?
I mean, it's mutual, right? So it depends on it depends on the circumstance.
Okay. I think that word for me explains more powerfully even the word which I had chosen earlier, like the reciprocal word. I go to Gurjeet Virji's directly proportional. I think he's also stating pretty much the symbiotic relationship between the two entities, between the source and the seeker, or the teacher and the learner. But I think the way you have explained
So
symbiotic.
symbiotic is also interdependent.
Okay. So there is a dynamic.
It's dynamic. It's not like in this case, it's not like the teacher is independent completely of the student.
Awesome. Exactly. So we will, through this whole presentation, we will stick to this point that teacher is not independent of the learner and learner is not independent of the teacher. They are in a symbiotic kind of relationship.
Yeah.
All these black nodes which you are seeing, Vijay, these are the nodes where they will reflect. These are my milestones. So we will have little very short conversations on these points, and we will go ahead on that. So symbiotic relationship between the teacher and learner. Now, when the learning takes place between these two entities, these two symbiotically related entities, there could be a language, there could be no language. So it could be a verbal, it could be a non-verbal, it could be a body gesture, it could be like the learning takes place with both, with and without language. Let me very clearly state that the learning or the communication or the dynamics or the interaction between these two mutually interdependent entities is taking place either through a language which has symbols, which has voice, which has words, which has vocabulary, or without that. Often, sometimes the learning without language is also taking place in a face-to-face or a technology-embedded learning environment. So let's move to our next dot. We all agree that language is a very important component in this relationship of a source and a seeker, a teacher and a learner. And to give you my perspective, I'm showing you a picture here. This is how I feel how important language is in my view. Do you think you agree with that, or do you have another perspective?
So I can't see your image very well because I'm on a phone. Would you mind just explaining to
Okay,
us what is
yeah,
represented here?
yeah. It is some artist has very neatly uh, created a human body.
That I can see.
Yeah, as a graphic, and on all in that human body, he has written language. Like it's a symbolic that all the awareness about our physical world is embedded in the language codings.
Right. Okay.
So if anyone has a different perspective on up to this, we can expand on that and we can share that perspective as well.
Vijay, I would like to share something here.
Ji, 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 Virji, ji.
I think you said language is a very important medium for. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, language is okay. Uh, like Virji said, it's a relationship between the source and the seeker, teacher and the learner in a symbiotic, interactive, interdependent on each other. Language plays a very critical role in establishing that relationship between the learner and the teacher.
Yeah, so I was just thinking about uh, like who is a teacher and who is a seeker in the context that we are speaking. So, I mean, I could be taking what you presented in out of context, but I was thinking here I am a seeker, or at least I think I am a seeker, and Shabad Guru is the teacher. So, in my opinion, language is the biggest barrier. Not it's not critical, but it's the biggest barrier between me and the awareness.
Language is a critical barrier between you and the awareness. Now, Vijay, what do you define as awareness?
Vijay, I don't want to hijack your presentation, so you asked for opinion. So I don't want to take a lot of time.
So let's do this. Charanveer ji, why don't you take
ठीक है
what
जी, ठीक है,
Chetan ji?
समझ गया जी मैं.
ਉਹਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ note ਕਰ ਲਓ.
जी.
And then that is one of the items we will return to because we want to proceed through your thought process here first.
जी. The reason I was trying to uh, go more into the awareness part was because, in my view, there is a written code, there is a written morphology or a word or a different type of alphabet which makes language, and there is a when there is no language, still there is a awareness. And that's how I became interested, because both of these components are important to me for carrying out my discussion to the next level. But I'm moving with both awareness as well as language to introduce my main topic on Naam. Vijay has very rightly said that it is the relationship between me as a seeker and Guru as a source. The language is a barrier. Uh, but that's how I became a little bit more interested to know that how does he fits awareness into this puzzle, because in my perspective, awareness is a component that originates from the language.
So, Charanveer ji, just for clarification, I think what you're, and I could be wrong here, but help me, and I might be speaking for some others. This illustration here is somehow telling us that the physical world, as we know it, is actually scripted. That there is a language, that there is code that can be deciphered. That it is actually patterns of code.
Uh, I would say, along with that, what Chetan Devir has raised an important point. It is a combination of that code and awareness.
But
So
the
it's
awareness is being blocked somehow.
no awareness
It's also
originates.
woven in.
Yes, I think woven is a better word. Woven is the exact word. It is interwoven into the language code,
So
and
that's the texture of the world around you.
absolutely. I think we are on the same page again. We are on the same page that uh, our main challenge is to understand the codes and the interwoven consciousness in that, interwoven awareness to that. So we are okay up to that. And in fact, with this conversation about the interwovenness, if you see the third dot, it only says that interwovenness. We
Okay,
have covered the third
I
dot
can't
also.
see. I wish I could see your illustration better, but nonetheless.
I think those who could see it, I think we have reached the third dot, and the
नहीं वो
third
छोटी
dot.
मेरे वास्ते बहुत छोटी मैं देख नहीं सकता ठीक तरह की कहंदी पई
Okay, I'll say I can send you the.
ਓਏ ਹਰਵਿੰਦਰ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਵੱਡੀ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਰੀਦਾ ਯਾਰ ਉਹ ਸਕਰੀਨ ਤੇ
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮੈਕਸਿਮਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਈਫੋਨ ਤੇ
ਹੈ ਨਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਿਆ ਉਹ
ਆਈਫੋਨ ਤੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਆਈਪੈਡ ਤੇ ਆ ਗਏ ਹੋ
ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਆਈਪੈਡ ਮੇਰੇ ਆਈਪੈਡ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੇ ਲੈਪਟਾਪ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਹ ਬਾਅਦ ਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਲੈਟਸ ਕੰਟੀਨਿਊ ਵਿਦ ਦਿਸ
ਠੀਕ
Okay, I'm sorry Virji, but I think we are moving from first milestone, defining the relationship which is symbiotic. And
Vijay,
then
can
we
you
are,
move your mouse when you're moving from which to which?
ਹਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਰਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਰਸਰ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਾਈਲਸਟੋਨ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਲੈਫਟ ਟੂ ਰਾਈਟ ਕਿ ਟਾਪ ਟੂ ਬਾਟਮ
okay, thank you Virji for pointing it out. I am moving from left to right, and I have started down from this this bottom picture. We this nod.
So you're starting, you're going left to right, starting bottom up, right?
Ji. And there are some arrows also, if you could see. But I think at the first node, we arrived at a consensus that the relationship between the two teacher and the learner is a reciprocal, integrated, combined.
So what is the first decision sort of kind of box you have down below, purple rang? It seems like a decision is being made there. And then I can see, if I strain my eyes, I can see scholarship in the.
No, Virji, ਉੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ. We are on the first dot, Virji.
ਅੱਛਾ ਚਲੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰੋ ਆਪਣੀ ਗੱਲ ਪੂਰੀ ਕਰੋ. Don't let me interrupt you.
Okay. No, it's perfectly fine. We will reach there, but right now, if Dilpreet Virji could see the cursor moving from teacher, the first node, we decided that yes, the relationship is very highly dynamic, integrated, and no one can stand alone on its own. Source and seeker are highly interconnected. And then, secondly,
and interdependent.
And interdependent. Absolutely, Virji. So, and then we moved that the physical word, the form, has a language code interwoven with the awareness about it. So, it's again a relationship which, knowing which will help us to decode the language and the awareness the way it forms in a word. And at the third dot, where the on my where this middle green arrow is, the third dot after the language and no language box, we have discussed how this interwovenness between the language and awareness. My understanding is we move to the next box. That my understanding is that our all kind of experiences, all kind of awareness originates from the interwovenness of this language and awareness. So when I say how me originates, and I have brought my cursor right there on that top, there are four type of tabs I have used. One is that our physical awareness originates from the language. Then we have our measurements, our scales, our understanding about the reason and the logic originates from that language code. And third, the overall experience, whether that gives us a happiness, sorrow, or mystical experience, or something I can explain to other, and something I might not be able to explain to other. All those type of experiences, for me, I have put the word capital M and E because M is for the mystical part of it. M is for the meaning from the language part of it. M is for the meaningfulness of the content when we do our any kind of research. And M is also for the mirage part of it, because of the barrier which Chetan just mentioned, that there is a barrier, there is a parda, there is a veil, there is a kind of not very clear understanding, some kind of foggy visioning. That's what I have called the mirage. What is actually not there, probably, and I'm trying to explore that what is real. So the me, uh, this me includes the interaction, interwoven, because of the interwovenness of the language into the awareness. This me originates. That's precisely my point. And now, if you all could see, I'm going to draw from here, from the teacher to the language. If you see the dotted green lines outside, it is just like the letter, numeric letter 4 of our Punjabi alphabet that ends up on the green highlighted top stated Naam. So if we have just an overall glance on it, you would see that we have I have made it in the format of a 4, which is a you. Since you know Gurmukhi, the letter 4 is more or less closely resembling to that.
Don't be so sure. There'll be no Gurmukhi.
Okay, so uh, I have tried to, Virji. I have tried to. Just one moment. I think I have tried to make closer to the numeric letter 4 for its significance in Gurmukhi and Gurbani. This is something which I have tried to draw outside. Now let's walk inside. When we have the language, I have broadly divided the type of knowledge which we acquire as a seeker from the source. The source could be anything. We will come to the guru and our relationship, but let's broadly discuss what kind of source it could be. The source could be a sacred source where the language is very pious, and there are some chantings, there are some mantras, there are some powerful uh, kind of vibes that are generated. And I may mention here that in Greek antiquity, the power of word was utilized to heal people also. But they kept those secret, like Gans, they kept those secrets of the language closely guided to them. With the sacred, if you see, I have stated that a lot of attention, जितना भी अपना ध्यान लगता है, it is more towards the sacred, to experience the sacredness of it. We cannot have, we cannot normally uh, try to build up our dhan to that extent. The intensity of the dhan brings us to the mystical experiences, my understanding. And I have used it as an insight because after churning, it's a higher level skill. It's a higher level cognitive skill. And the intensity, the more intense our dhan is, the more we concentrate, the more we meditate, the more we try to harmonize with the awareness itself that is interwoven in the language, the more kind of mystical experience we may have, the more kind of experiential stuff we may have, which we share with others, but they may or may not be able to develop that intensity of their attention. Uh, the attention, I would like to say that for me, it means that at, if I split up this word attention as at and seems. So when the moment I open up my eye, I see my awareness spread around in 10 directions. This spread of 10 in 10 direction helps me experience the world. So similarly, the meaningful experience originates from the scientific inquiries also. I use mathematics, I use sound, I try to understand time and space, and I inquire more. The moment I inquire more, I fall in the domain of a scientific inquiry, where my questioning, where my uh, where my skills are more sharpened to explore the unexplorable. We will relate everything I'm talking about with Gurbani. Uh, once we have that background made up, so all my meaning emerges from my inquiry. I'm not stopping anywhere, and my inquiry continues to enrich me and provide me an enriched learning experience. I engage myself in experimentation. I try to test the things. That's how the green, the green dots of measurement are reflected on both meaningfulness and experiment. Now, this domain, this domain is the domain of knowledge. And in the knowledge, I could perform experiments, physical experiments, explore nature, go for natural observation, conduct my research, and that particular experience is shareable with everyone. And then comes the scholarship. Let me first just mention Gurbani. Sorry, we'll come back to Gurbani later. Then we have the scholarship, conversations, discussions, like how does uh, literature, for example, Guru Granth Sahib has the oldest language known to mankind reasonably well. People accept that claim. But Gatha, Zoroastrian language, uh, is the oldest language that is documented in Sri Guru Granth Sahib. So the scholarship could be linguistic, scholarship could be grammar, could be related to cognition, metacognition, all kind of scholarship that is related to the that relates to the human society. All that kind of scholarship, I have tried to narrow it down under the heading of thought. Now, when I say thought, because there are several perspectives, there are several evolving understandings, because the interwovenness of language and the experience that is originated is different for everyone. And when it is different, it may bring a meaningful, measurable result, like we just experimented also. We all agreed it was our experience was interwoven in the language, but we agreed on a term which was more comprehensively able to explain the relationship between the source and the seeker, and the teacher and the learner. So that was our meaningful experience. We understood, and it was a measurable experience because we all agreed on that as well. Give and take, we agreed on the definition, we agreed on the how it brings us an enriched learning out of that exercise. However, like Chetan Devi said, it could be a mirage. I don't know where to go, but that's also a part of thought. And that's how I keep on building up on my search, on my relationship, on my inquiries, on my trying to turn more thoughts, trying to refine them, shred which are not relevant to me, shred those which doesn't make sense to me, and questioning them. And in doing that, in order to come out of mirage, I use my thoughts, churning of thoughts. I use my inquiry, and I try to synthesize. I try to get insights by collaborating, and all these things help me bring a new kind of meaningful experience. And that's how, if you look at the top left where I had put the word how my meaningful experience, how, and if you see it from a bit closely phonetically sounding, it is home. Home is how I have I have built up my either mystical or experiential or experimental or meaningful enriched learning by attention, by engaging, by cultivating the attention, by acquiring knowledge, or by performing physical experiments. So, coming to the physical body and the societal justice, why do we do all this? We try to become an active participant in a responsible citizen in a civic society. And how do we do that? We do it through our actions. So, and here is my concluding part of the relationship which we have discussed. How does it relate to Gurbani? I would say that the Gurbani has cautioned us that to obtain Naam, we may have acquired all kinds of insights, all kind of mystical experiences, all kind of scientific experimentation, all kinds of scholarly debates, discussions, or literatures we would have read and derived our meaningful experiences. However, unless until we are able to act, we are able to bring that into our actions, a transformation in our own behavior of that me that may have a mirage or that they may be evolving with these kind of using these kind of faculties to hone my skills and my inquiry and my efforts to unfold the mysterious interwoven relationship of the words and the awareness. That action where I'm helping others, where I'm addressing others, and where I am performing seva or I'm helping being human, I'm trying to give out the best also, not just limiting myself to my own interest. That brings some kind of societal transformation towards a more equitable, more just society. So raising my knowledge, using my scholarship, using my sacred power, if at all I have, that I have obtained through the intensity in my attentiveness and my dhyan and my mystical experiences, I should use everything for the benefit of the society. If I'm not using it, I'm probably not being able to move on the path of understanding and acquiring the blessing of the Naam. If we go to the next slide, which I had sent you in my uh, video, uh, let me just, I think I'm stuck up here. Oh, I have to share this one. Just give me one moment. Okay, now, so here comes the crux of the message that whether after acquiring the knowledge, be it scientific, being it scholarly, if my relationship with the society is more central.
Your slide is not up, Vijay.
नहीं आ रही विजय?
नहीं, slide नहीं आ रही.
एक मिनट विजय. Oh, I'm sorry, I was not sharing it. Sorry, Vijay. एक मिनट. Just a minute. Thanks, Vijay. एक मिनट. I stopped it sharing. Okay. Okay, share. Thanks, Vijay, for pointing out.
Hanji, we have it now.
Okay, thanks, Vijay. Okay, so if we look at the first design that happens in the society, it's a central design. It's a central design that is normally held by all those who are in the power, and they try to control others through their knowledge, through their mystical skills, or through their kind of all those people who have attained some kind of knowledge. They try to control others, and that relationship in the societal uh, fabric is like a central. So there's a source where the knowledge is concentrated, uh, be it a scientific knowledge, be it a scholarship, or be it a mystical knowledge, and they will try to control others. I gave you an example earlier. Pagans held a lot of stuff to themselves, or Greek mystics kept it to themselves, right? Those were the sacred powers. Then scientific inquiry came, and they try to spread it, but they have their own controlling abilities. Some people can do this, some people can join this stream of science of scientific inquiry, some cannot. So kind of this central relationship does not provide us.
Hanji Veerji, you got we're at 9:40. Do you still
I'm
have?
winding up, Ji.
And
So the next design is decentralized, where we look as ourselves as communities. For example, this is a Punjabi speaking community, this is an Italian community, this is a Greek community, or this is a Hindu community. Or so we have divided the world based on our ethnicities, based on our languages, based on our differences, and we try to cater to our own segments. So the first centralized uh, design is also uh, uh, kind of inappropriate from the Gurmat perspective. The decentralized is also inappropriate. But if we look at the distributed, where the sacred people have been telling us that we are all connected in the nature, as plants, as animals, as planets, as humans. So that's a distributed design. However, as I said in my presentation, Gurmat takes us to this trimodal reality of language, awareness, and me as a being. However, Gurmat takes us a step farther, and that is the step of Naam. And I will explain you very quickly, because I'll just have to go back to my previous slide. Yes. So this goes back to the Naam, because whether we have acquired any sacredness to any intensity, whether we have been accomplished scientifically to any extent, whether our scholarship, whether people all over the world recognize our scholarship, our thoughts are very meaningful and measurable, and we have contributed a lot to the literature body of knowledge. However, if our actions have not resulted in the societal equity, societal power being equally distributed, and everybody is empowered equally, that Gurmat doesn't consider that as a appropriate path to accomplish the blessings. What is Naam? So Naam is within everything, and Naam is beyond everything. Uh, the relationship of teacher and learner, which we had said, and I emphasize that we will connect it to our presentation, that is the only thing which helps. And to give you the point, the final point is, since after reaching at the peak of his accomplishments, I would say worldly accomplishments or spiritual accomplishments, all combined, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, did the uh, when did the when gave Amrit to the Panch Pyare, he bowed before them, and that was just that symbiotic relationship he demonstrated before us. And when we are following that, only then we can go to the Naam. There is no other way. This is a measurement that if we are engaged in any place and we are stuck up there and we are not contributing in the symbiotic relationship, we will probably be still thinking of probably not reaching to the destination what we all need as a norm. Thank you so much. Ji.
Hanji, thank you, Veerji. Lots of concepts, lots of ideas. I think we need to somehow be able to pull them together. But we have about 15 minutes left, so without much ado, let me start here with Chetandeep Singh. Any observations, any questions?
Hanji Virji, I think it was very loaded presentation, lot of concepts. As Virji said, it will take a lot of time to digest them. So one thing that I observed, and I have an observation and a question. And observation is that in the slide that you are presenting right now, where you have this flow chart, why is the source slash knowledge slash teacher physical? And second is what you said, like the only way to achieve Naam or move towards Naam. So can you share what are we to do or be on a daily basis on our journey to Naam?
Okay. First, let me. I think you caught me right on that because the reason I finally decided to color it as a physical, although knowledge is both tangible and not tangible, intangible. Uh, since this is the first attempt, this is my first version, so I thought that let me present it and see how the Sangat takes it. So it will. I had it in mind, but in the span of time, I couldn't decide. I thought that let's first present it the way it is, and so thanks for that input. I also felt the same way, but then the time was so short that I would not have been ready with everything. So my forgive me for that, but it's a evolving process. We might all contribute to developing a measuring rod which could lead us. Coming to your second question, what should we do? I think when we were at this intersection, we talked about uh, that the there's a difference. I think I probably missed it, but I'm just bringing it back. There's a Naam Bani and there's a Kichi Bani. If we are clear about that part, all that is enshrined and eliminates in Sri Guru Granth Sahib, that is the Naam Bani. When we are tracking ourselves on the Naam Bani, all our inquiries, all our thoughts, all our insights, when they are emerging from within the Gurbani, following the directions, because at one point of time, the Bani would guide us that neither the Dhyan, nor the Gyan, nor any kind of physical rituals will help us accomplish the ultimate bliss of Naam. It is Guru's grace. But then the Guru within us always guide us. I'm not here to guide you. No one else could guide anyone. It is our own intensity. It is our own, I would say, it is our own intensity and loving relationship which knits us to remove the cobwebs, remove the uh, mirages, in fact, which are our not understanding the path. And once we use only Gurbani, no secondary source, then we accomplish our task with Guru Ki.
Hanji, thank you, Vijay. I have to move on to Gurpreet Singh. And could you please be on mute for those of you? There's an open mic somewhere. Hanji, Gurpreet Singh ji.
Hanji, very good presentation. I think I like the concept that our actions is ending up being Naam or Hukam. It is the collective actions we take, and that becomes Naam. So, Virji, you also briefly touched that you have some Gurbani lines associated with this slide. Can you briefly touch them, or I misunderstood you?
No, Virginie, I'm just uh, going out of here, and I'm bringing that to the slide. I think where is okay. I'm going to.
Can you share them with us? Because I'm not sure we can go through all of these in the time we have.
Okay, Vijay, to Dilpreet Vijay's question, I'm reading it, Vijay, and I can share it on the blog also. It says, Vijay, Nana kartna chutiye vin gun jampur jaye, na is a na o hai avgan fir pachtaye, na tis gyan na tan hai, na tis dharam dhyan, vin nave nirpo kaha kya, jana abhiman, aak rahe kiv apna. The question is, आक रहे कि वपड़ा हाथ नहीं ना पार, ना साजन से रंगले, किस पे करी पुकार, नानक प्रियो प्रियो जे करी, मेले मेलनहार, जिनी विछोड़ी सो मेल सी, गुर के हेत प्यार. And the one which you said about uh, the seva part, which is, that's not handy. I will post it on the blog.
Thank you, ji. Haji Gurdeep Singh Veer ji, you're
Andy,
next.
that's very interesting. I've been going through he's right, is everything mentioned in Gurbani. Gurbani says at one point, Kar kirpa moye naam deo, Nanak dar sarita. We have to ask for, only Japna is not the only purpose. As he said, it's outside there's a naam, and inside you have a naam, but only link is missing. But that we have to put effort, as he said, guru, teacher and the student learner, they both depend on both, interdependent. So we have to pray that God give us a naam, and we have to put efforts to jap the naam. And final thing, I am convinced if we are on the same level, we have to have a Khande Vatidi Pahal, he said, before we start. Then we have a guru who's going to help us. Then we become interdependent. Sikh Guru, Guru Sikh hai eko, Guru Upadesh Chalai. I think very much I'm convinced with him, according to Gurbani. That's what I was thinking. Anyway, I appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much. It's very interesting.
Thank you, Veer ji. Haji Paramjit Singh Rana Veer ji.
It's quite a lot of material to digest before I can, at least for me, I can respond. My only question for clarification is, in the original slide, the entire presentation, I think to start with, is premised on the relationship between a learner and a teacher. And we agreed on that, that is symbiotic relationship. It is reciprocal relationship. Uh, and but my concern is that that type of relationship cannot be sustained unless there's mutual trust underneath, faith underneath. That's a common denominator. So your presentation started at a higher level, which is very unsustainable. Unless we go below that level underneath, that if there's not mutual trust or faith, the relationship is going to fall apart. So I wonder how this model is going to proceed if we start at a plateau which is higher than the threshold which is more stable.
I would say, Vijay, ki I would use a word that I have learned that is called abchal. First of all, so there is no plateau. There's a always dynamic movement in the relationship. And I think it's interconnected, it's dynamic, and it's a role reversal taking place at every time. So once the relationship is established, it's okay. Once when we are out of that mirage that there is no relationship, that means there is a relationship. So once we know that there is a relationship, then it is a dynamic relationship. It is already a continuation. It's a already a continuation, a kind of uh, I understand. I use normally the word to describe this relationship as mutual need. The foundation is so dynamic that encourages us to be open to other ideas and at the same time share our ideas. So,
Haji, if I may interrupt you, Veerji, since I've thrown out the word symbiosis and Rana Veerji is talking about trust, that is one of the underlying assumptions of symbiosis as well.
thank you, Vijay.
Trust, Haji, that has to exist. Otherwise, it is not symbiosis. So, symbiosis is also used for the very process of life. Life on Earth wouldn't exist without symbiosis because everything in life is actually mutually benefiting the other, whether we know it or not.
Mhm. Thanks, Vijay.
Haji. Haji, last but not least, our Veerji from Australia, Gurjeet Singh Veerji.
Anjuji, I missed a lot of it. I only started initially. But did he explain what is the reciprocal relationship between the seeker and the learner? I don't know whether he explained, but I have to understand that.
Everybody is probably going to have their own take on whether or not he did explain that. So I'll let Charan Singh Ji respond to that.
Within a simple word, I think this reciprocal relationship, what Guru Gobind Singh Pasha did, first he gave the Amrit to the Panch Pyares, and then he took back the Amrit from them. This Amrit could be anything: knowledge, sharing, blessing, sacredness, relationship. My point is only that not many teachers in our classrooms or in our own families or in our own societies are able to give up that role of being a source of knowledge and take the reverse role in a symbiotic kind of relationship where they are mutually helping each other by sharing and learning from one another at the same time. So the role reversal, the proportionate or the integrated or the dynamic or the upchal neve is where the flow is going from one to other and other to back to one.
So, Charanveer Ji, can I suggest to you that Khoj Gurbani and what we are doing here, it is a classic example of symbiosis because we are playing dual roles. Sometimes when we are presenting, we are the source of the knowledge and the others are absorbing, and vice versa. And the discussion goes back and forth. This is a very classic case of a symbiotic relationship, if you will, or a symbiotic network.
Mm-hmm. Very right, Virji. And
Thank you.
if you remember, in one of our emails, I did highlight that part that we are fortunate to have Cyber Sangat of Khoj Gurbani, where we are performing what we are being told by the Gurbani to perform in a day-to-day life.
Haji. So, if I may steal a minute in the end, because you spent a great deal of time initially on language and the formation of the self, right? And I was hoping that you would actually develop that idea a little more, because it seems to me that Haume or the self, the sense of the self, is a creation of language. So it would be interesting if we can carry this thought further, because the problem becomes that Haume works by routing our experience of reality into language, into all kinds of concepts and rituals, austerities, whatever, repetition. So what happens is we never experience a reality or ikonkar as such because we keep routing it into language. And I was very interested when you started off with that, and I was hoping that you would carry it through because therein lies the solution as well.
Viji, if you recall from the how me experiences, the way I have explained it, a lot of stuff I have written on the blog. But if we follow this green line, this means we are only following the Naam Bani. The more we are imbued in the Naam Bani, our thoughts change, our inquiry change, our insights change, and all our experiential changes. And
So
once we are
would you
changed,
say that before your thoughts change, your language has to change?
no, we don't need the language. We need only Naam Bani to bring this transformation in thought, inquiry, and insights, Virji.
ਉਹ ਹੁਣ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਨਾ ਪਏਗਾ ਬਲੌਗ ਸਾਨੂੰ
ਨਹੀਂ ਪਿਆਰੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਓਕੇ ਮੋਟੇ ਸ਼ਬਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਹੀ ਸੋਚਾਂਗੇ, ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਹੀ ਸਵਾਲ ਉਠਾਵਾਂਗੇ, ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਹੀ ਉਹਦਾ ਮੰਥਨ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਔਰ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਇਨਸਾਈਟ ਇਮਰਜ ਹੋਣਗੀਆਂ, that will make our actions, that will transform our nature to a more acceptable citizen of the society also. ਲੇਕਿਨ ਅਗਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੀ ਥਾਂ ਤੇ ਉਹੀ ਥਾਟਸ ਸੈਕੰਡਰੀ ਸੋਰਸਸ ਚੋਂ ਲਿਆਵਾਂਗੇ, ਉਹੀ ਇਨਕੁਆਇਰੀ ਸੈਕੰਡਰੀ ਸੋਰਸਸ ਚੋਂ ਲਿਆਵਾਂਗੇ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਅੰਦਰਲੇ ਦਾਇਰੇ 'ਚ ਹੀ ਫਸੇ ਰਹਾਂਗੇ.
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ. This is an interesting conversation. I have 10 o'clock on my...
I have a question.
You have a minute.
Virji, maybe I'm slow to learn, but why is the relationship between seeker, which is me, and the teacher, which is Shabad Guru, symbiotic? I think the whole premise of the presentation here, it seems to me, is that Veerji has taken Guru Gobind Singh Ji and Guru Chela as the premise of the symbiotic relationship. But I am thinking in terms of if me as a person and Shabad Guru as the teacher. Can you explain it to me why the relation is symbiotic?
You have 30 seconds to do this.
Okay. We can continue this conversation
Or
on the
take it
floor.
offline. I would suggest take it offline and then share it with us.
But I think very shortly I can say, when we inquire within ourselves that what is my relationship with the Guru, and I have not to define that relationship from the secondary sources, from what I have known from the secondary sources, but from the Gurbani itself. Then we will say, I will quote a Gurbani, Tu Kanure Manji Nama. So the question answer starts from that itself. Halate ubarna, gam karna. My purpose is defined, my relationship is defined, my source is defined, and when we will build our argument, our understanding, our perspective, our thoughts, inquiry, and insights from the Gurbani, all these relationships would converge into a reciprocal symbiotic relationship. This is a short answer, but we can expand on that.
I would strongly suggest that you take it offline and then come back and share your findings with us. That said, it's 10 o'clock, and thank you very much.
Can I say something, please?
Ji.
Any quote Gurbani here? Tu gur chela hai, ape vich gurde tujhe bujhai. Guru Granth Sahib Ji.
Chalo, Chetandeep Singh Ji,
Anyway, thank you.
Chew on that pankti that Gurdeep Singh Veer Ji shared. Thank you very much, Ji. And then we are now going to take a bit of a break. But the idea is that those of us who are going to Dallas will try and meet for 15-20 minutes every week on Wednesday to figure out what the agenda there is going to be. We should be sending out an email in the next day or so. So we'll take it from there. Thank you once again. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.